everybody! So here is Linda Delira again, and I'm here to talk to you about ISFP. So before we start talking about ISFPs, a little apology for this long silence from my last video. I just started the university, the course has just started, so for those of you who haven't watched my introduction video, I'm studying psychology, so I needed a little bit of time to adjust in this new reality, and I'm really enthusiastic, and it's really interesting. And a lot of things that I'm facing and meeting are actually things that I studied already with my boyfriend, and I'm seeing them from different perspectives, how other people see it, and it's really interesting. Anyway, moving on back to our ISFPs. What can we say about ISFPs? First of all, like with every other type, we're going to start with disrupting some stereotypes, which is something that psychologists like a lot now, I know. Anyway, let's disrupt some stereotypes. What can we disrupt about ISFPs? Well, ISFPs are known on the net to be sweet, soft, tender, kind, soft souls, and so on, or that's the way that I've been described ISFPs when I first approached MBTI. That's not what ISFPs are. Or, better said, deep down, maybe there could be something, but very deep down and very hidden, because let's talk out of stereotypes, like really, let's kill these stupid stereotypes that keep going on. ISFPs do not even like to be considered cuddly, or to be considered sweet, or to be considered kind, or anything of the sort. ISFPs are minority bandwagoners, so that's basically what they are. And as minority bandwagoners, they prefer negative emotions to positive ones. So they're going to be that kind of person that approaches you and tells you that they like the ugly. So they are that kind of person that doesn't want to be seen as cuddly and tender and sweet from a mainstream point of view. They do not want that. Because they embody the ethics of minorities, where there are formed groups of minorities, like for example in the Gothic culture. When I think of ISFPs, the first thing that jumps to mind is always the Gothic culture, and recently, since we are in Halloween months, also Halloween Town. That's another thing that jumps to mind when I think of ISFPs. They are the ethic core of the Gamma Quadra, basically of the group of types that are connected with the most negative sides of our soul, and they portray those negative sides of our soul as something positive, something desirable. It's that kind of person that is going to make of depression a philosophy of life, for example. That's an ISFP. They do embody in some way the idea of the artist, but only up until the point in which the artist is a very tormented artist. Another thing that I can say about ISFPs to disrupt the sweetness stereotype is that they actually enjoy negative emotions. They are, in my opinion, the most Enneagram 4 of all types. They really enjoy and love these negative states of mind, these negative feelings. One particular thing that we can say about introvert feeling. We've seen in INFPs that they want to embody the mainstream archetype of positivity, when instead they harbor inside a deep negativity and a lot of negative feelings. And that's what they actually are. Whereas the ISFP tends to do the opposite. In the attempt to embody this negative stereotype that is portrayed by a minority, a subculture environment. They hide and harbor all the positive sides of their soul. They try even to hide them from themselves. I have an ISFP friend, for example. When I tell her that she's very sweet, she tends to look at me a little bit scornfully, and she tends to ask me where the hell I got that from, because that's almost an offense for her. Why does introverted feeling work so differently in these two types? I think personally that this split is given by introverted intuition versus extroverted intuition. Introverted intuition values melancholy and deep introspection. I would say, that the introspective current in psychology would be mirrored by introverted intuition, whereas extroverted intuition is more extroverted, colorful, and looks more to the reality around us that isn't there, as we say a lot of times. So the potential reality. So the INFP has this mainstream potential ideal in mind, whereas the ISFP is attempting to go deep and mirror an ideal of depth in some way, which doesn't work very well, but at least they try. As I always say, when there is introverted intuition, there's some form of depth is always present, even if attempted. But anyway, they try, and that's a good thing already. Anyway, what are ISFPs? So introverted feeling is attraction, repulsion towards things. And that's why we have this split, this difference between INFP and ISFP. Because these people are pushed and pulled towards what they are repelled from or what they're attracted to. So that's what they base their life on. That's how they decide that something is right. A lot of people, a lot of INFPs and ISFPs, but ISFPs mostly, jump on my channel and automatically go like, you're wrong because. No. The fact that you do not like what I'm saying doesn't mean that I am wrong. Because right and wrong from a scientific point of view is defined by experimenting and by trying the hypothesis on the field. So before saying that I am wrong, you have to do as many experiments on the field, so with people and among people, to see if that reality that I'm talking about actually exists or it doesn't exist. And I can assure you that it exists because it has been experimented, and you can be sure that that thing that I'm talking about actually exists. So an ISFP instead bases on the mere fact that they do not like it. So if they do not like it, it cannot be real. It cannot exist. Why are we talking about existence when we're talking about ISFPs? Because extroverted sensing. Extroverted sensing is raw reality. It's the reality we have around us. It's sensory objective reality. So what is there right in front of us? Now, one thing that I find curious about ISFPs when we pair introverted feeling with extroverted sensing, that doesn't happen instead in ESFPs, and we will see it, is that ISFPs take this introverted feeling, pair it with this extroverted sensing creative, and what we have as a result is a person that is mostly concerned about physical appearance. So what happens is that these people are going to come to you and listen to what you have to say, and when you're done talking, they're going to tell you, I'm not listening to you because you're ugly. That will teach you. Anyway, yeah, that's an ISFP. They walk up to you and they're gonna tell you, I don't like you, therefore what you say is wrong. I don't like you, therefore what you're saying is worthless to me. So that's based on an aesthetic point of view. My favorite example of ISFP of choice is normally Salma Hayek, the actress, the Mexican actress. There are a lot of interviews out there. You can see her from a more complete point of view. But anyway, the thing that I would want to point out to you is when she talks about her husband, the main focus she has is how beautiful the clothes are that this guy can give her. That's what is important to her. Another thing that I noticed about ISFPs is that they are masters of getting money out of other people's pockets. If an ISTP is the master of getting money out of nowhere and creating money out of thin air, an ISFP instead is the master of getting people out of other people's pocket, getting money out of other people's pocket. That's what they are. I know another ISFP, for example, and this person has the ability to say things to the partner in a way that makes the partner start going and seeking for the thing that this ISFP likes and loves, so that they can get it for the person. That's an ISFP. They are focused on what they like, what they want in second position, how to get what they want from others. That's what ISFPs are about. Introvert, intuition, tertiary position, they try to make a philosophy out of it, so to speak. It means that they tend to an extent to be introspective, but more in a playful way than in a serious, all-encompassing way as an INFJ would. But anyway, they do try to have some sort of depth, but you have to apply it to an identity of, anyway, looking at things from a very I like it, I want it point of view. So kind of Princess Sissy trying to go deep. That's basically what ISFPs are. Last function that we have in ISFPs is extroverted thinking inferior. Extroverted thinking inferior means that they are also, as INFPs, a band of goners. They want to follow the majority thinking. But for what concerns ISFPs, as I said at the beginning, it's not the majority thinking of mainstream reality of the majority of people. It's always a minority inside of a context. So, for example, the ISFPs would be those people that mostly support going against Twilight, for example, because Twilight is a mainstream thing. So they're not going to watch Twilight, see if they like Twilight, see if they enjoy Twilight. They're going to be a priori against Twilight because they don't like the fact that it is a mainstream thing. That's an ISFP. ISFPs are the embodiment, like I said, of subculture bandwagoning and subculture ethics. One last thing that I would want to add about ISFPs is that when we talk about extrovert sensing paired with introvert feeling, we do not have the control that we normally have in ISTPs or ESTPs instead, who are rationally present. These people are purely based on their emotional content, on their feelings, on their internal states. We're talking about introverted feeling, and I think we all agree that introverted feeling doesn't express emotion externally that much. But what an ISFP does, if you do not follow their ethics, if you do not follow their FI, basically, their likes, their dislikes, and you riot to that, what they're going to do is throw you dishes. They are the kind of person that jumps on my channel or on anybody else's wall on Facebook or even in real life, and they start insisting about an ideal ethics, and they will insist until they drill that thing in your head, and they're not going to give up and in any possible way, because that's what they think is right, and that's what you need to have drilled in your head. That's an ISFP. They do not give up, and they will keep insisting to the end. Which normally is when you stop listening, because like I said, FI types, like a lot of people, but FI types in particular, do not appreciate being ignored. But the only way to silence an FI type is always ignoring them. Or at least that will change the disc to why you shouldn't ignore them and so on. That's what's gonna happen. With whom do ISFPs get along? With ENTJs, of course, obviously, because ENTJ is going to buy them the beautiful things. And what else? ESTJs, possibly. They kind of get along with everybody for some reason. I have never seen an ISFP, unless they are particularly unhealthy, I have never seen an ISFP not getting along with someone, unless, yeah, like I said, unless they're particularly unhealthy or they choose to go against that person. They tend to go towards and appreciate those people that are not particularly popular and that are not particularly loved by the majority. So for example, INFPs are not going to be one of an ISFP's favorites. That's another thing to keep into account. So for example, they try to get along with ISTPs. I've seen that. But anyway, their dual is the ENTJ. They are seeking this extrovert thinking. I consider particularly interesting the interaction between ISFP and INTJ. I don't talk about this kind of thing very often, but this kind of interaction is particularly stimulating because it's as weird as it can get, because both types tend to mirror a negativity. They give you an image of negativity of some sort. So you have this negativity from the ISFP and negativity from the INTJ. Still, the ISFP is going to find the INTJ a little bit too depressive, because let's be real, guys. You are depression embodied. Anyway, we will talk about you guys in another context, in another moment. Anyway, ISFP has some form of negativity, but they do not have the positivity that it takes to lift someone as dark as an INTJ. So they have this weird interaction where the INTJ feels this weird attraction towards the FI of the ISFP, but they tend to depress each other into this chain of depression that is the Gamma Quadra. So if there's not an ESFP around, the Gamma Quadra is going to enter depression and never get out of it. That's basically what happens. But the interaction between these two types is particularly curious because they tend to spiral down this spiral of terrificant depression. So it's like seeing the tormented artist with the tormented scientist going down the spiral of darkness. It's really it's amusing just not to become depressed myself. Anyway, yeah, that's what happens. Anyway, yeah, Enneagrams, like I said, if I think of ISFP and FI, I automatically think of Enneagram 4. So I have some difficulties saying other types. Maybe an Enneagram 6. Enneagram 6 could go for them. But I wouldn't go too far into naming Enneagrams for ISFPs. Like I said, every Enneagram can apply to every type, but the most likely type, as far as I know, would be this. Anyway, this is everything I have about ISFPs. I hope those who challenge me are satisfied with the answer, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!